For 33 years, Steve Belichick was an assistant coach and scout for the U.S. Naval Academy football team. In 1962, he authored the book Football Scouting Methods, and today it's still considered the holy Bible of techniques for judging football talent. It's something his son Bill relied heavily upon and took many lessons from throughout his coaching career.
Well, I'd say probably the most important lessons I learned were hard work and just doing your job. You know, his job was to scout. That was his job, that was his role, and he embraced it, and he was very good at it. I think I learned that as far as just doing your job, doing your role, being unselfish, and working hard at it and trying to get the edge and find something that's, a little bit special that'll help the team win.
In 1975, Belichick began his NFL coaching career as a $25 per week assistant with the Baltimore Colts. He spent 1976 and 1977 with the Detroit Lions before moving on to the Denver Broncos in 1978. And in 1979, Belichick was hired as the New York Giants special teams coach.
I was at Denver in 1978, and Coach Perkins was at San Diego during the 78 season. And when he became head coach in 1979, Coach Perkins was looking for a special teams coach, and I'd worked with special teams at my previous 4 years in the league at Baltimore, 2 in Detroit, and 1 at Denver. And so Coach Perkins hired me as a special teams coach.
In 1980, Belichick was called on to coach the linebackers. And for the next 4 years, he had the opportunity to work with some of the most talented defensive players in Giants history.
In 79 and 80, it was Brian Kelly, it was Van Pelt, it was Harry, and then, of course, in 81, it was Lawrence. And then when we drafted Carl Banks, there was a lot of, I think, second guessing from the fans and the media about, why would you take another outside linebacker? You got Van Pelt, you got Taylor. But really, he added a lot to our football team to have Carl and Lawrence as bookends there. It was quite a group of linebackers. It made me look like a good coach.
In 1981, his second year as linebackers coach, Belichick could see that rookie Lawrence Taylor was something special.
We had a scrimmage after a few days of practice, and Lawrence made about 7-8 tackles, just blew in there, couldn't block them, and we all walked off the field saying, "Oh my God, this guy's going to be a force." And I remember sitting in a staff meeting, and Coach Parcells, who was the defensive coordinator, said, "Well, I think we might want to go ahead and just not start him and just let him watch the game for a quarter and let it go, and then put him in there." And Coach Perkins looked at him and said, "You know what? Just get him in there. He's our best player." And he was right. And Lawrence was ready to play from day one.
In 1983, Bill Parcells was named head coach of the New York Giants. 2 years later, in 1985, he made Belichick his defensive coordinator.
When Bill became the head coach after the 83 season, he really gave me the responsibility of that.
Yeah,
I know he was looking on this side.
Bill, here, before you start telling about plays, you better tell him that we alert for the hurry up.
We got it, Bill. We've already been over.
Basically, what I did as the defensive coordinator was to take Bill's system and try to modify it weekly by game plan.
If Lips comes back across, then we squirm it back here, and Herbie, you're coming.
Bill and I had a good relationship. I knew what he wanted. He told me the things he didn't want, and so I kept it within those boundaries.
No, Bill, don't leave it like that.
I'll alert you to the fact that he might not be coming out.
But Bill gave me a lot of freedom to coach the defense and coach the team in my personality.
All right, that's where to jamble in that too, okay? Keep hammering them. Keep hammering those outside receivers.
We still continued to run the fundamental base defense that he put in 1981, but with various modifications as we saw more multiple receivers and more one-back sets like the Redskins ran. And, we had to evolve and modify our defense to handle the different offensive challenges.
In 1985, New York traveled to Chicago for the NFC Divisional Playoff. And even though Big Blue lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Bears 21-0, he knew that the best was yet to come for this Giants team.
Yeah, well, the Bears were a great team. There's no question about it. And we go into Chicago and have a good drive, fumble, have a couple bad plays on defense that weren't bad, but they were bad enough. And we came out of that game feeling like we can be a championship team. We've obviously got to play better than we did in that game, but we felt like we had a championship caliber team. And, it was just kind of a process of bringing things together. But certainly the 85 loss to Chicago was a motivator. You couldn't get that one out of the back of your mind. 21-0 in the playoffs. You got to do better than that.
In 1986, the Giants played in Super Bowl XXI in Pasadena. They would face the Denver Broncos, who were led by perhaps the NFL's best quarterback in John Elway. And Belichick knew that the key to the Giants' victory would be to contain Elway and the Broncos' explosive offense.
Well, the biggest thing was keeping him in the pocket. I mean, we felt like we would be able to handle the running game with our front seven. We definitely didn't want him running around, and basically we wanted to keep him in the pocket and not let him make big plays down the field, try to make him, take the smaller gains, keep it in front of us, make him execute, 10, 12 play drives as opposed to, hitting a 30-yarder or getting a big play against us. And, he scored on a bootleg.
Elway, up the middle, touchdown.
But, we really wanted to keep him hemmed in and make him throw from the pocket and not let him create and make those big gains.
Backs up to the 2. He's in the end zone. He got him. Crazy. George Martin is the man.
Just before halftime, the Big Blue defense rose to the occasion when the Broncos had a 1st and goal at the Giants' 2-yard line.
I think we were a good goal line defensive team. Again, we had a very good front. They had trouble running the ball inside. Then they tried to run the toss play to get it outside and run away from Banks. Banks was able to run the play down from the backside and make it because we had good defense at the point of attack. So we were very confident in our run defense. We were very confident in our goal line defense. And you work on that all year, and it comes up, and it came up in a critical situation, and we were able to keep them out of the end zone in a key sequence there before the half.
Carlos is no good.
Even though they trailed at halftime 10-9, the dramatic goal line stand gave the Giants confidence, and they came out in the second half firing on all cylinders.
We were confident, but certainly would have liked to have played better than what we did. I don't feel like we had a good first half. So we needed to settle down and play better, but we did, and our offense got going, and they hit a lot of big plays and controlled the ball, and the game kind of got out of hand there in the second half.
Pitch. Morris turns around, back to Sims on the flea flicker. Sims is looking way downfield. He's got to receive it. Complete. Down to the 10. 5. Touchdown, I believe. And now they are marking at the 1. The Super Bowl champions are the Giants.
New York's 39-20 victory in Super Bowl XXI was a dream come true for Belichick and the culmination of an 8-year journey as a member of the Giants coaching staff.
I came in 79, and so 79, 80, we were 9-7, we're in the playoffs in 81, but then 82, 83 was another bad year, and so, we were all, like Harry and George and Phil Simms and all of us that had been there through at least 79 all wanted to put that behind us. And the Giants fans were great, and we wanted them to feel that source of pride with a championship. I did. I knew what a momentous moment it was for Wellington and Tim Mara, the entire Mara family, and the support that we had gotten with the Giants. So it was actually pretty funny though. I was obviously young, and the game was over, and the locker room was, of course, pandemonium. It was an awesome scene, and I just felt like, I'll never be in this moment again. So I walked out of the locker room, walked back out onto the Rose Bowl, and just took one last look at the field and the scoreboard and the whole scene. It was just, a moment that I just personally wanted to capture. And then I came back in, and the security guards wouldn't let me back into the locker room to get to the buses. I was young enough. Nobody knew who I was. It was just fine. But I almost couldn't get back on the bus.
Following their victory in Super Bowl XXI in 1986, New York started 1987 with 5 consecutive losses and would finish with a 6-9 record in a strike-shortened season. 1988 provided more disappointment for the Giants and their fans. In the regular season finale against the crosstown rival Jets, Big Blue needed a victory to make it into the postseason. But they let the game slip away in the final seconds and missed the playoffs for the second year in a row. In 1989, New York posted a 12-4 record and were the top seed in the NFC. But they suffered a heartbreaking overtime loss at home to the Los Angeles Rams in the first round of the playoffs.
And the game is over. And the Giants are out of the playoffs.
I think that was really, to me, probably the low point of my entire career with the Giants. And I think after that game that there was certainly by Bill, a resolve to, but we got to make some changes. We got to do some things differently here.
In 1990, the Giants raced out to a fast start, winning their first 10 games.
Sims looking for a target. Roll is right. He's going long, way down deep. It is complete to Ingram. Touchdown!
And while Phil Simms was having one of his best seasons as a Giant, Belichick's defense was just as dominant, holding opposing offenses to just 13 points per game.
Defensively, we didn't want to let anybody score against us, and that group had a lot of pride. And certainly at that time, Lawrence's game changed a little bit because he got so much attention from the offense, so much attention in pass protection, that he would even start to come to me and say, I got to get into coverage, let Banks rush, let Pepper rush. There's more opportunities for other guys to rush than me. When he saw that he could change his game to help the team, he was more than willing to do it.
But in a Week 15 home loss to the Buffalo Bills, Phil Simms suffered a broken foot and would be lost for the season.
Simms is down and getting up slowly.
Phil got hurt. We can't hang on against Buffalo at home, and we're starting to wonder a little bit. And it was certainly a challenging time. I don't think we ever had that. We got to step it up feeling. In all honesty, that's what we said every week. Every time we played, if it was Philadelphia or San Francisco or Buffalo or, Dallas, whoever it was, we felt like, hey, we got to step it up.
In the NFC Divisional Playoff against the Chicago Bears, Belichick's defense had perhaps its best performance of the season, keeping the Monsters of the Midway out of the end zone the entire game.
A half foot away from the goal line. 4th down. Giants leading 10-0. Handoff. Must have stopped.
What a play!
John Washington.
Yeah, Washington sneaking through, stopping him at the line of scrimmage.
While Jeff Hostetler and the offense scored pretty much at will in a 31-3 victory.
Touchdown!
What a call in the corner of the left end zone.
The following week, New York traveled to San Francisco to face the two-time defending Super Bowl champion 49ers. And once again, the Big Blue defense would flex its muscles. Leonard Marshall's devastating hit on quarterback Joe Montana knocked him out of the game late in the fourth quarter.
But chased down, finally hit from behind. The ball's loose.
It was good defense downfield. He had no one to throw to. They knocked him out of the rhythm. And he really took a shot in that back. Leonard Marshall coming from the backside. Boy, that is a real shot.
Backup quarterback Steve Young entered the game with a 13-12 lead and needed only 2 first downs to run out the clock. But Belichick and the Big Blue defense were not about to throw in the towel just yet.
We're talking there on the sideline saying, look, we got to get the ball, and if we get the opportunity, and who knows whether it's going to be from the front, from the side, from the back, or, which technique, but, just that mentality, and we got it.
Scrimmage, and the Giants have the ball.
And so it was a very opportunistic play by our defense. Those are the kind of plays we want to remember ourselves as, and that game really was, in the biggest game, it was one of the biggest plays.
The Giants methodically moved the ball downfield.
Hostetler's trying to pass, runs away from trouble, turns upfield, runs to the sideline and throws on the run, and completes to Navarro.
And Matt Barr's 5th field goal of the game would send the Giants to the Super Bowl.
Kick is away. It's got the distance. It is good. Good.
And the Giants are going to Tampa Bay. It's over for the three-peats.
The thing about the 90 team was that team played well. I don't know if it was the best team, but it played the best.
In Super Bowl 25 against the Buffalo Bills, the Giants would once again face one of the most potent offenses in the NFL. Buffalo cruised through the AFC playoffs with wins over the Miami Dolphins and Los Angeles Raiders, averaging over 47 points per game. And Belichick would have to devise a unique defensive game plan in order to slow down the Bills' high-powered passing attack.
He said, you guys are going to have to trust me. In order for us to win this football game, Thurman Thomas is going to have to gain 100 yards rushing. And, you know, guys are grumbling because it's like pride. It's like, are you out of your mind? We're not letting this guy get 100 yards. And then he brings it back to reality for us.
I think the running game was the least of our concerns in that game. And Thurman Thomas is a great back. We knew he was going to get some yards. But I didn't feel like we wanted to get into a game where they threw the ball 45 times.
Belichick's plan was to allow short receptions and then punish receivers after the catch.
Oh, that's the way they wanted to play. Pepper and Carl and Lawrence and those guys, that's what they live for. Go ahead, you can catch for 4 or 5 yards, but you're going to pay the price. And that's and that's the way we wanted to play. We wanted them to throw short. We wanted to keep it in front of us, and we wanted to either hit them if they came in there on the route, or if they caught it, to hit them after the catch and just try to make it a more physical game.
The intensity and the unity that we had for that entire game, we predicated what Buffalo's attack was going to be. We made them call the plays that they did not want to call in that ball game, and that was because of Bill Belichick's scheme.
Belichick's brilliant game plan held the Bills' high-scoring offense to just 19 points, and the Giants held on for a dramatic victory.
In the air, got the distance, it is no good! Giants win! Giants win!
Super Bowl XXV would be Belichick's final game as a New York Giant. In 1991, he was hired as head coach of the Cleveland Browns, where he stayed for 5 seasons. And in 2000, he became the head coach of the New England Patriots, where he's achieved unparalleled success, winning 6 Super Bowls. But he'll always cherish his accomplishments and the time he spent as a New York Giant.
I think usually when you leave a team, there's a little bit of a sense of, we hope he doesn't do as well, or they don't do as well with the new team as they did with us. And I think that's kind of where Wellington's a little bit different. I've always felt welcomed back by Wellington and the entire Mara family. Through all the situations that I went through with the Giants, from Super Bowl championships to disappointing losses, he always did the right thing. He just had a great feel and a great presence for the right way to interact with either a team or an individual. But the thing you always felt with him was he was 100% behind the team. It was special. It really was. It was special.
Hey Giants fans, Jabril Peppers here. Want to be the first to see Giants videos? Subscribe now.